Demolisher just continuing to wreak havoc on the slaughterhouse. 3 acolytes being brought out to heal it, and that will be enough, but it's going to cost TeD a lot of resources just in terms of lost opportunity there. And it looks like TeD is now shopping. What's he going to buy? Perhaps another TP, or no, an invuln pot at this point. He has an invuln pot on his lich already, and Grubby is putting up an expansion now as well, so TeD will need to be aware of that and take it down as soon as possible. And this one Demolisher somehow is kept alive. I don't see a ghoul skeleton there, so I'm not sure what happened to that ghoul, but a dreadlord third now for TeD, and this is a really unusual choice. Obviously sleep is just so powerful. If you watched on my previous cast, you'll have seen the power of sleep, and especially against something like a blade master, where it's just so important that it's around for the whole time, as opposed to something like a mountain king where it just needs to be around for a very small period of time. That dreadlord, obviously very low armor though, using sleep immediately, and you can see TeD just going straight for that surround, and that Torn Chieftain is in so much trouble. He just has a TP out immediately, and Grubby loses a ghoul just in that short period of time, and it looks like he's going to lose this Demolisher as well. So very nice play there by TeD, and he did manage to cancel that expansion before he TP'd out. So Grubby now sort of down a bit in terms of economy on top of everything else, at only 45 food compared to TeD's 41. So actually a bit of a sort of equal food at this point, although TeD does have 3 heroes, even if they are 4-2-1, and I think 3 heroes is generally better than 2, especially 4-2-1 versus 3-2. Yeah, definitely TeD has a hero advantage, and so obviously it's still undead versus orc, and Grubby still does have a blade master, but I think you really can't count. I beg your pardon. You cannot count TeD out of this game, even though he's lost his slaughterhouse, which is a fairly big deal considering that he only has 1 statue, and so if he does want to get 1 destroyer, he wouldn't have any statues, and that will just be really disastrous for him. Grubby meanwhile abusing Windwalk, no mana left actually to get out of there, but does take down 1 fiend, and Grubby now TeD now buying a Scroll of Time portal, and we'll come back in to cancel this another attempt at an expansion here, and this is a very nice play there by him. He's just sort of having this constant awareness that TeD always seems to have, and TeD has 1 skeleton here. This is how he has that awareness, it's just skeletons everywhere, and just sort of good intuition as well, but and he'll know that Grubby's right in the middle of the base now, trying to take down this crypt, and it looks like Grubby's just going to try and run out. He doesn't have a Scroll of Time portal on his Blade Master. He does have one on his Torn Chieftain if he needs it. He uses a speed scroll though. Grubby is going to lose at least 1 raider. Sleep being used to take down another raider presumably at some point, but Grubby now coming back in, knowing that he has a bit of time when all the focus is going to be on that 1 raider, and Grubby using a stomp there, very nicely done. Might be able to get this raider away. No, coil being used with it just to take that raider down, but some nice distraction techniques there by Grubby, managing to do a bit of damage to TeD as well as to this crypt. And I imagine Grubby getting slapped again on his Torn Chieftain, so close to level 3 as well, will be forced to use a TP, so some really expensive play there for Grubby, really losing a lot of money, both in terms of units and in terms of items, and Grubby not rebuilding his expansion at this point, and so could be sort of really struggling for just to have the cash to keep on going. And this Blade Master is sort of just sort of sitting around TeD's units at this point, trying to see what's going on. No a sacrificial pit for TeD. This is a sacrificial pit is something that TeD's been doing quite frequently actually. It's a really good strategy because it really gives you such amazing map awareness, even though as I've been saying, TeD has amazing map awareness, it just sort of it lets you know where the Blade Master is, which is just such a big thing. Grubby, knowing that his Windwalk is running out, decides to go shopping instead of follow around TeD, because he realizes TeD's just going to cancel an expansion that isn't there, and buying an invuln pot, and no TP, but presumably he has a speed scroll on his Torn Chieftain. Yeah, he does have, actually he has a TP and a speed scroll on his Torn Chieftain, and so he will be able to get out of here, and TeD immediately TPing back in, and this is really annoying play by Grubby, but as I said, like, it just sort of 1 sleep really from that dreadlord can really can pay for the sort of the TP, because it does cost a bit more, but you get experience. Your opponent sort of loses a unit, you know, it is sort of worth it, I think, yeah, if you can get 1 unit slap, but TeD not managing to sleep a unit there, and Grubby now resetting up his expansion again, and probably hoping that TeD's just not going to think that Grubby's so bold as to constantly expand, and Grubby coming straight back into attack here, and this must be really annoying for TeD, and you can see the sort of the reason now for these towers was just so that it would be harder for TeD to attack Grubby than for Grubby to attack TeD, because meanwhile Grubby can take down these units so quickly quickly. He takes down that crypt and immediately runs out, but decides that he's too caught up here and decides to TP out instead. And TeD doesn't manage to take down any units, unfortunately, and Grubby actually not getting his Blade Master, which just ran into the fray at the end, caught in that TP. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Probably it was intentional, so it wouldn't get caught. And the Acolyte is now coming back out and rebuilding the crypt. Obviously crypts are just so important. Grubby trying to take it down again, and TeD cancels it because he knows it would have gone down eventually. And Grubby now with his Blade Master a bit slowed will need to try and get out of there because he doesn't know how close TeD is. And Grubby coming straight back into harass now. Obviously 2-0 upgrades on his Raiders because it's just going to be so powerful. And TeD just sort of, there's really nothing he can do about this. He is coming in just to cancel this expansion again, and he will have to take a bit of damage in his base. Probably he's going to lose his slaughterhouse, and then before he will be able to get straight back in here. We'll have to see how much time TeD leaves. TeD leaves actually a lot of time and isn't good to TP in, maybe? I'm not sure why he isn't TPing in already, but maybe he's waiting for these late fiends to come in. But meanwhile, TeD has lost his slaughterhouse, and Grubby's managed to get away pretty much scot-free, just taking one coil on his Blade Master and having to use his speed scroll. So some really frustrating play here for TeD. And yeah, TeD currently at 48 food compared to Grubby's 50 food, so pretty equal food counts. I think TeD, as I said, if TeD could force a fight, he really would have the advantage, because obviously fiends are pretty good against Raiders. Raiders doing siege damage really does reduce damage to all units, apart from unarmored, but TeD doesn't really have any of those. And Grubby meanwhile actually sort of trying to do another one of these sneaky plays, but TeD sort of being a bit on top of this now, and will probably just be able to chase Grubby away. One Raider being brought in here, but sleep being used on the Storm Chieftain, and a surround attempt by TeD. Looks like Grubby could get away there, but didn't actually manage to, but uses the Stomp eventually, and that'll definitely be enough to get away. And Nova being used now just to try and chase down these units. You can see Grubby sort of with some sort of instinctual playing, deciding to split up his units just based on the sort of the position they were in, and that's something you really do need to be able to do. And TeD actually taking down another Raider there, so some pretty good play there for TeD. And Grubby rebuilding his expansion yet again. I mean, I'm not sure if this is like the 4th or 5th attempt or something, but Grubby's right back into TeD's base, actually taking a fair bit of damage, and he will need to be getting out of here sort of soonish. He doesn't have any salves either, but he does actually get level 4 by using Windwalk, and TeD managing to cancel the expansion again. So some really sort of nice abusive play by both sides here, and Grubby gonna lose his peon as well. And he did put in the gold mine to both waste TeD's time and hope that TeD would just sort of give up on it and go away, but he didn't, and so that meant TeD got that tiny amount of extra experience. And Grubby now salving up on his Blade Master and will be running straight back into attack, but meanwhile Grubby actually going for an expansion at TeD's position, which is such a bold thing to do. You can see he's built it in a bit of an unusual place. Generally you build it up here, but this just means that it's much less likely to be scouted, and it isn't sort of a too terrible position. And TeD's TPing straight back in now, and Grubby TPing out. Obviously TeD needing to rebuild both his slaughterhouse and his crypt now, means or actually he has one crypt as well, but I guess he just wants a second one just so that he can sort of continue to use his gold, because he does have a fair bit of gold lined up. Actually he's just bought an item now, just bought a TP, so he has a bit less gold, but maybe he's just planning on sort of pumping into upkeep as soon as possible, or maybe he just wants it for a bit of sort of meat just to block him a bit. And TeD actually building another Tome of Relics here. This is again just to stop this crypt from being taken down. Grubby thinks Grubby's strategy is just to take down TeD's buildings and sort of starve him, and so TeD deciding just to sort of build a bit of a meat shield, much like an elf might build Ancient of Wars and stuff like that against a human going for tanks. And Grubby now taking down the Subsiding Statue. Obviously it heals a lot slower than any other unit, just because it can only heal from the aura, and so it's sort of an obvious thing to attack if you know you can't take anything down. And Grubby trying to be sneaky here, trying to bring in his Raiders. They are now 2-1 upgraded, so he's gone for the 1 armor upgrade, and Grubby meanwhile taking a lot of damage on his Blade Master, and then getting it focused, and then TeD trying to run in. What you can do actually is you can sort of focus it down, sleep the hero, and then use call Nova again, and then sleep it, wait for your cooldown to run out, and sort of just keep on going forever basically. And that does work pretty well, just because there's not really much your opponent can do apart from popping in Von Pot, and maybe TeD just didn't want that to happen. And TeD now coming down here, scouts about, but you can see there's still a bit of fog of war here, and it means that TeD isn't scouting out this expansion now because it is nighttime, and so some really lucky play there for Grubby. You can see the position of this Great Hall just really paid off, and Grubby coming straight back in now to try and attack TeD's base, but TeD just TPing in and trying to. Ooh, actually, I'm getting a bit of a split there on his units. This is not good at all for TeD, and TeD looks like he probably will lose his Lich now. We'll have to see exactly how this goes out, but yeah, Grubby using Stomp, and this Lich has actually used Frost Armor itself, and the Death Knight has managed to catch up, so he could get at least a coil off, but it looks like Grubby's just going to go for the Fiends instead. No Burrow from TeD. I'm not sure if he hasn't researched it yet, so we won't be seeing that. But Grubby actually taking a fair bit of damage now, losing a couple of raiders, and another one's going to go down now, and TeD continuing to make good use of sleep as well, and you can see this fight is so close to sort of Grubby's expansion, and TeD just hasn't yet scouted it out, and this must be it must be so infuriating for him, or at least it will be, just to learn that this expansion is here, and TeD now chasing down Grubby's units. Looks like he does go for a surround now on this grunt, and he does get it, and not even using sleep. So some very nice play there by him. Dreadlord is level 2, Lich level 2, Death Knight 4 compared to Grubby's 4-3. So still I'd say a slight hero advantage to TeD, and Grubby now has finished his expansion, and TeD hasn't yet scouted it out. Obviously